Okay, folks, I apologize. That audio problem was completely on me. I think everybody should be able to hear me now. We'll back up for a little bit. All right, I'm sorry. I was setting up to avoid technical problems. I was setting up earlier. I muted the microphone by mistake, so I apologize. Let me start over. Patty, Karen, Lisa, good to see you all. Today is Valentine's Day, February 14th of 2026. And it's Coffee with the Crew. Most of you guys already know it's very casual. We have local folks come visit us and visit with the dogs, ask their questions, see kind of what we do. So we do these Facebook Lives so that we can open it up to anybody that lives anywhere. And it's basically Coffee with the Crew. Grab a cup of coffee, visit with the dogs, ask your questions. I'm John. I'm the director of Rescued Rollers. Noelle is behind the camera, working comments so that I can reply as you speak to me. A couple people asked about the weather. We finally have a beautiful change this week. For the last month or so, it's been well below freezing, and that has really limited the time outside that the dogs could spend. We have Fenny here, who has very thin fur. We have Roxanne, who's a tripod. We have Wyatt, who doesn't really walk on all 4 feet. He mostly scoots because of his hunchback dwarfism. So cold weather is a problem. Yesterday, we got above freezing for the first time in probably close to a month. And today, we're already close to 40 degrees. This week, we should be middle 40s. We might hit middle 50s once or twice. So these dogs are very glad for the change. We've got some sunshine for a change. Journey and a few of them were outside enjoying the sunshine, taking naps in the sun. So the weather's changing for the better, thank God. You know, the only bad news there is now we get all those hidden turds coming out of the snow. So it's going to be mud season here in Ohio. Our yard is a mess with all the melting snow. We had about a foot of snow on the ground. We still have most of the snow on the ground, on the grass. But places like the deck, the ramp, and some of the streets are melting pretty clear. So we're in transition to what's going to be a pretty soggy week. But the dogs are glad for it because they're all getting outside a lot more. We don't have Mila in here right now because it gets crowded. But we will bring her in a little bit. So, couple little updates, nothing too serious. We have Xena and Hawkeye, who you can barely see at the edge of the camera on the steps here. Come here, Hawk. Come here, buddy. Xena and Hawkeye, hi guys. They all get so jealous. Xena and Hawkeye see our vet in the next 2 weeks at the end of the month, 27th and 28th, I think, for their annuals. I want to thank especially our monthly donors, but everybody that supports us because their annuals, by the time we get the heartworm preventative, we average $700 to $800 a dog for the annuals. So thank you. We had a busy week. I'm a little bit unprepared for today. A few days ago, a shelter down south reached out to me. They took about 40 dogs from a hoarding situation, and they had 3 Chihuahuas with deformed legs, and they were very emaciated. The 8-year-old, the oldest one, only weighed in at 9 pounds. And so we were scrambling for a little while to try and make arrangements to bring 3 of them in here. One of them walked on its front legs, and that was it. The other 2, one was probably okay, like Fen, and one needed a wheelchair. But luckily, they were down south. They're in Alabama. Luckily, at the last minute, they found a local rescue that would take them. I love bringing in the dogs that need our help. But bringing in 3 at one time, and right now we don't really have any fosters available. That's a tough one. So, has everybody got good plans for tonight, for Valentine's Day?
Karen Chi-Chi's watching out for black ice in the shadows, and they've got a lot of
Yes.
tons of snow and ice hard pack at Susan Haslam's place.
Yep, I have taken a couple tumbles in the last week or so myself. luckily, the dogs have not. The dogs have figured out to be careful, and most of them have four-wheel drive, so they do better than I do. But yeah, definitely be careful, especially you, Karen. For those of you who don't know, Karen Chichi runs Keystone Small Animal Transport, so she's on the road a lot. So be careful, because you never know when you're going to get that ice, especially at night.
Temple is having dinner with her husband and dogs tonight.
Oh, good, Patty. Okay, so we got two vet appointments coming up. That would be Hawkeye and Xena. This starts the first half of the year. We currently have 8 sanctuary dogs. The first half of the year, we probably get 6 of them in for their annuals. So right now, we're not experiencing any medical problems with any of them. And that's Baby. We're just going to ignore her as much as possible. So these should be standard, rabies update, boosters if they need them, just a general physical, do a fecal. So we don't expect anything out of the ordinary, which is always a good thing. Everybody seems to be doing very well and very healthy, right, Fanny?
Good morning from Debbie Noon, and Karen Bordenaro loves the library.
Karen, because of the angle of the camera, you can't see it all, but this room is wall-to-wall bookshelves, and we've got 1 or 2 other rooms the same way. Noelle and I are both book freaks, and I have most of my rescue and dog-related physical therapy for dogs, things like that. I have those back in my office where I usually do my research. Hey, Hawkeye, get off of her. Thank you. That's enough, guys. So...
Deb Bauer says Happy Valentine's Day to all of us.
Debbie, thank you. You too. It's good to see you. I'll tell you what, you guys, I'm seeing a lot of beautiful dogs. I talked to Patty a little bit about a senior Sheltie, and I hope to hear back from you on that. I've seen that Trisha from Perfect Imperfections just shared a new little Drift, I think is the name. Man, is she cute. Double Merle. Hearing impaired, sight impaired. In my world, I love those dogs. We've had several blind and deaf, and they're good dogs. So
Susan Haslam is asking about, do you get your scooting dogs to go out in the snow, out in the yard?
hi, Susan.
Mine have hated the drag bags, but they love to go around in the yard.
Susan, I think we've talked before. I can't remember your name. Tell me again where you're located, just out of curiosity. So to answer your question, Susan, as soon as Baby stops giving her opinion, our dogs right now, we have a couple that we have to worry about in the snow. 5 or 6 of them can walk, albeit not properly, and that's not a problem for them. But the 2 that I really get concerned about is Wyatt, who, if I could bring him over here, you'll see him scoot. If I can get him come over here. Hey, Wyatt, come here, buddy. He scoots. He's got hunchback dwarfism, so he spinal walks. Here, you guys go over this way. Come here, Wyatt. Come here, buddy. Wyatt, come here. That's Wyatt scooting over this way. Come here. Now, he's pretty fast. He doesn't want to bust through the crowd.
Susan's in Mass.
Thank you, Susan. So Wyatt is down on his haunches a lot. Obviously a concern with snow and ice. And then we have Mila, who's not on camera right now. Mila's in a quad cart. She can't sit, stand, lay down, anything without the quad cart. So we obviously are particular about the amount of time they could be out in the cold. But when it comes to the snow and ice, most of these guys, I'm so sorry about Baby. Most of these guys, when we have snow and ice, thank you guys, good job. Most of these guys are very capable, like a healthy dog. Wyatt and Mila, we leave on our deck. We have, Susan, if you're not familiar with it, our backyard deck, we have a wheelchair ramp for the dogs off the side of the deck. And so we clear, the dogs all use the ramp to go down to the yard, the ones that can walk, and they usually prefer the ramp. It's easier than the steps. But we can gate off the ramp, and so when there's a lot of snow on the ground or ice, we keep Wyatt and Mila up on our deck. I keep the deck shoveled. We have pet safe ice melt. I don't like to use, but some of our dogs have mobility issues like Journey. If you've ever seen Journey walk, she bunny hops. So ice is a very serious safety concern for her. So our dogs that can walk, other than watching time limits, snow's not a problem for them unless it gets really deep. I do shovel off our deck and also the ramp so that they can get traction on the ramp when they come back up or go down. I don't let it get slippery or snow build up. And Wyatt, we're just careful because he can't get himself off the ice. He's laying down on the ice, and I don't want him to get frostbite or anything like that. So we don't make a lot of special arrangements other than shoveling the deck or the ramp for them. We're just very tuned into them when they're outside. They don't go out unsupervised when it's cold. Even if they're able to. Roxanne right here in front of me, this one is a tripod. She gets around normally. Hawkeye is our normal dog. He originally came to us because we were told he was deaf. Well, he's not deaf. He's just a Great Pyrenees. He's stubborn. So they move around perfectly well. Fenny here was tossed out of a car when she was a puppy. She has mobility issues, but she's recovered greatly. The first day she was here, we fit her for a wheelchair. And this was, excuse me, she's probably been here close to 2 years now. Fenny now walks 95% of the time. When it's cold outside, like last week was in the teens, in the single digits, she could be out about 5 minutes and then her back legs stop working and she starts scooting. So other than having a clear area for the ones that need it, which is my deck, and frankly, Wyatt and a couple of the dogs are allowed to go potty on my deck because that's what we have to do in the wintertime. Other than watching the amount of time they're out for each specific dog, like Hawkeye's a Pyrenees, he loves the weather. He could be out an hour in that stuff. Guys, settle, please. Hey, Hawk, stop. But the younger ones, the smaller ones like Mila and Wyatt, they're on a much shorter time frame outside. I don't like drag bags myself. I have used them in the past, and I've got a couple videos here of wheelchair dogs you'll see in a few minutes. They work well. My problem is they trap the dirt inside and outside. Hi, Journey. This is my beautiful Journey. She came to us from Trisha at Perfect Imperfections. Patty Bacco Temple, who's in the chat, fostered her overnight at one point. And Journey's just a sweetheart. And then this is Roxanne. She came up to us from the Bahamas about 4 or 5 years ago. She's a tripod. She had a leg injury that they couldn't work on down in the Bahamas. So we brought her up here on the Pop Cake Express. We brought 4 dogs up at the same time, or in the space of a couple weeks. Yeah, we just, it's tough in the wintertime, but this is where we're at. We don't have a choice. So we just monitor the dogs individually. And frankly, most of them that have to be limited, like the 2 black dogs and Wyatt, they appreciate being limited because they get cold quickly and they want to come in, right? Now Mila, and you'll see her in a little bit. Mila's in a quad cart. She was born with a brain disorder. Half of her brain did not grow properly, and it affects her balance. Not only is she physically challenged, but she's also, thank you, baby. She's also developmentally challenged. She's been with us 5 years now, and she doesn't really grasp the concept of getting cold. So what happens is she doesn't navigate great in her wheelchair. We're going to see a video of her in a little bit. I will take Mila out, and I'll give her a time limit. She has to go out because she's in a routine. Routine's very important for her. So after meals, for instance, we take her out and she goes potty on the deck, and then I bring her back inside. So with Mila, I'm the one that kind of determines the time she stays outside.
So Debbie Bauer has, first of all, Aunt Grace says it's mid-50s in Chicago.
Hi, Grace.
Debbie Bauer wants to know, what dogs do you have in the rescue right now that are looking for their forever homes?
Thank you,
And
Deb.
what ones do you still need foster homes for?
Okay, double-sided question. Technically, Fenny here and Xena, who's a German Shepherd, she's not on camera, are available to the right homes. But I'll tell you what, they are so specific with their issues. They're sanctuary dogs. Okay. If somebody sees Fenny or Xena and wants to follow up, I can give you more information. Fen had an adopter and moved to Virginia for a while and came back to us because the owner had a back injury and couldn't care for her. At that point, she was still wearing diapers. Fen is incontinent, so as she's walking around, she'll pee and poop. I don't like to use diapers with Fen because, unless we're out in public, because I'd rather clean up a mess than deal with a UTI. Fen is also very, very particular about people. We've had visitors come here, like Debbie Noon, who's online, that have visited multiple times, and Fen still won't go near them. And that's true. Fen only trusts Noelle and I. Fen's a real problem with strange people. Xena is pretty good, but she has PANIS, which is an autoimmune disorder that affects her eyes, and she needs eye drops twice a day, 2 different eye drops. So there's a little bit of medical expense with Xena, although she takes the eye drops really well, better than most people. She also needs to be an only dog, and she needs a fenced yard. Xena's a handful. She's a good dog, but we have to find the right situation for her. But I want to jump to the foster situation for a second. I have one foster right now that she's unavailable right now, although she's still on our list. She works for a vet's office, so she handles our medical cases. Some of you may remember a year or so ago, there was a cane corso that was shot and needed an amputation. We pulled that dog from the shelter, placed her with our foster, who then was able to take her to the vet's office for her medical treatment. And she got adopted to a great home with an Ohio Highway Patrol trooper. And she's doing great, by the way. Her name is now Tilly, if I remember right. So technically we have one foster, but she's reserved. She's an emergency medical foster. What we need to do, and this is going to go into a little bit of what I want to talk about. If somebody contacts me about a dog today, I have 0 fosters. I have 2 choices. If you remember a few months ago, we brought Cooper in. That's not ideal. We made an exception for Cooper. We have, excuse me, we have 8 sanctuary dogs here right now. There's personality issues, etc. So it's, and I'm really at my limit physically with the work that I can do with these guys during the day. So unless it's an extremely extenuating circumstance, we're not going to bring another dog here. So if somebody contacts me with a dog that needs foster, or like these 3 Chihuahuas, if I'm not going to bring them into my home, which is strongly not my preference, not to bring them in, we need to do a courtesy post and say, hey, we need to find a foster. If we can find a foster, we'll bring these dogs in. We have had a horrible time in the last year or so trying to find fosters. Now, for those of you that are new and are listening, I want to say this. All of our dogs are special needs. We do occasionally bring in a senior or a hospice dog, right? Not all of them are in wheelchairs. Some are blind and deaf. Benny just walks funny at this point. Roxanne is a tripod. Journey has a spinal deformity. Mila uses a wheelchair. We have a German Shepherd that has spinal issues. We have Xena, who has the PANIS, the eye problem. So special needs in our world covers any medical problem, right? Long-term medical problem, birth defect, that type of thing. But it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a diaper dog in a wheelchair, right? So what we want to do ideally is have 3 or 4, 5 people pre-qualified to foster. And so when a dog comes in, I can shoot an email out to our fosters as well as posting it on our pages and say, hey, can somebody help this dog? So we already have some slots lined up. Now, the process is really simple, and we're actually working on some videos and some updated website information about this. But what happens is, if you decide you want to foster, you fill out this application. We have a phone interview with you. We determine what dog would fit you the best. For instance, maybe you don't want an incontinent dog, or maybe you have experience with blind and deaf, or, you know, these 3 Chihuahuas, they had no special needs other than their mobility issues. They got around on their own, but they were deformed. So, with the exception of a little help sometimes moving around, they're normal, healthy dogs. So we do a phone interview. We find out what kind of dog would fit your situation. Do you like big dogs, little dogs? Do you want to try blind and deaf? And we have somebody like Deb Bauer who's online with us. Deb has been a longtime friend of ours, and she is, in my opinion, the world's premier blind and deaf dog trainer. Debbie, if you want to put a comment up with the link to one of your pages, please do that. Deb Bauer, watch for her link. Our neighbor, Steve and Vicky, have fostered 2 blind and deaf dogs for us and failed on both. They adopted both of them. And so if somebody wants to try a blind and deaf dog, we will set that foster up with Deb Bauer for some online training so they understand what to do. We'll give the basics because we've had 3 or 4 blind and deaf dogs here in the house, but Deb is the expert on it. So we set you up with Deb, and we cover all the costs of that training and everything. So just understand, if you're new, we need to get some foster applications in, and it's online at our website, rescuedrollers.com. And there's a picture and a button right on the front page that says foster. There's a short little application, and then we do a phone interview to see what works the best. Okay. It's preferable to me if you're within reasonable driving distance of Mansfield, Ohio. That's where most of our vets are. We do have some scattered vets, but logistically speaking, if you're within 40 miles or so of zip code 44833, that is ideal. We can mix that up a little bit for the right situation. But, you know, we have situations now where the vets will bill us directly. If you're down in Tennessee and you're fostering a dog's for us, we don't have a vet in Tennessee, right? So that means there's more work on you. Come give you support live. We have to do a lot more remote. But there's wiggle room, okay?
Karen Bordenaro observed that most of our dogs seem to have spinal or mobility issues. What kind of therapy do we do with them?
Yes, thank you, Karen. Karen, that's absolutely correct. Although we do blind and deaf and a few other things, hypoplasia, hydrocephalus, I would say 70 to 75% of the dogs we have some sort of spinal problem or mobility. And what we do depends on the dog. I don't have them queued up right now, and I'm not being rude looking at my phone. This is how I remote control the videos you're about to see here in a few minutes. The treatment, we don't have a standard treatment over the top, right? What we have is specific to each dog. Last month's Coffee with the Crew, we showed a couple of videos. Mila, for instance, was very weak in the legs and she had no balance. So what we did is we built a walk box. It was basically 2 long boards that looked like a hallway, and set her down in there, and we were able to get her to walk that 8 or 10 foot length to strengthen her legs. That's something I've never seen anywhere before. But that helped her. We did swim therapy with her. We bought a stock trough from Tractor Supply and filled it with about 200, 300 gallons of water, and we did little swim therapy. The videos are on our Facebook page. Some of the dogs, like Fen and Journey, believe it or not, the wheelchair ramp ends up being great therapy. Journey cannot do any steps because she's so twisted up and she bunny hops, right? Well, excuse me. Because of the way she hops, she doesn't have a lot of muscle structure in the back end. But using that ramp, she's bunny hopping up an incline. Now that ramp is 19 feet long, so it's not a big incline. It's I think ADA is a 2% incline, and I think ours is like 5%. It only goes down about an inch a foot or a little more. So that's muscle therapy for her. Some of the dogs in the past, like Fen would be a good candidate for this. Depending on the size of the dog, if you think of a yoga ball or a Pilates ball, even a basketball or a volleyball, if you get one that fits right under their abdomen in front of their back legs. Now, most of our dogs, it's a back leg problem, so that's what I'm speaking of. You could set them on the ball and move them around to force them to balance. Work their muscles and their coordination. I do the same thing a lot with the full body lifting harnesses. You've got the rear harness that holds their butt up, and if they have movement and some strength, if they're not completely paralyzed, you can sit to stand is a good one, and you can also just very gently put them off balance a little bit so they have to readjust their balance. It helps their motor control and their muscle mass. We've also in the past had a treadmill, and I built a little frame over the treadmill. It's in our previous video, I think from last month, with Ranger. We would use that full body lifting harness to hold Ranger up on a treadmill. Once I started the treadmill, then I could go behind Ranger and work his legs. So the therapy we do is different for each of the dogs. We have a lot of canine physical therapy books, and we work very closely with our vets to figure out what's important, because certain spinal injuries, you can make them much worse depending on what you do with them. So it's a careful thing, but we decide based on each dog.
Jason McLaren, who helped us build the ramp,
yes,
is online today, and he commented.
Hey, Jason.
He's learned he can take eye drops pretty well now.
Oh yeah, I bet you and Zena. Jason has just had eye surgery. Jason adopted Zoe from us, a tripod, and he actually came over when we got the wheelchair ramp delivered. He came over, and I think between the two of us, we spent 10 or 12 hours on a day putting this ramp together so the dogs would have the ramp. But he just had eye surgery. He's getting eye drops too, and his commentary was that he takes them pretty good too. So, do we have any pending questions right now?
We're caught up on all the questions,
okay.
All the comments.
Okay, so one of the things that I've been talking about that I want to touch on here is awareness. And I'm sorry, I've got a cold. So we have had many dogs over the last 10, 15 years, and even as recently as a few years ago, any of the special needs dogs, a lot of the vets will tell you, euthanize them. And so what we have tried to do is, as part of our programs, is we have the rescue and we have the education. The education, we try and raise public awareness. We take these dogs visiting, and I'm going to show you some pictures and some videos here. They're great, so stick with us. We try and raise awareness that these dogs are normal, happy dogs. And, they don't know they're any different, right? They might move different, but they're still happy. They still have fun. They still want to play. They still want to eat. They all nap together. So awareness is crucial. So people call me, they get overwhelmed when something happens, right? And Tricia at Perfect Imperfections, Allison at Paw Savers, Double J Dog Ranch. There's a whole bunch of places, rescued rollers, that have been raising awareness. Blind and deaf dogs you see a lot, but the wheelchair dogs, the trick is to raise awareness so people understand there's options, right? And right now, we've been talking the past couple of months on the lives. We're kind of rebuilding our foster program and hope to have more fosters soon. We're working on the education and awareness portion of things. We've started putting up shorts and other videos on YouTube. We are developing classes for caregivers as well as shelters on how to care for these dogs that you'll be able to take on YouTube or on our website. Within a month or so, I'm going to start a rescue chat. It's for rescues, by rescues. You know, how do we handle social media? How do we do therapy at home? You know, how can we get creative to save some of these vet expenses, etc. So we're starting to build our YouTube channel out and our educational offerings while we're looking for fosters. So with that, I want to show you some pictures and videos. This is only going to take a couple minutes. I'm going to show you some pictures. First, Mila, who's not on camera right now, she's a wheelchair dog. You'll see her in the center of this picture. We've taken her to Bucyrus Rotary and Winford schools. Here's a picture of her science class. She's right in the center there. And we've taken Laura to a nursing home to visit with the and these are ways we're raising awareness in the schools, the nursing homes. Here's a short video, and then I'm going to switch to a picture after a minute. We take Mila in her wheelchair to visit organizations that deal with developmental disabilities, folks that are in wheelchairs or learning disabilities, because they can really relate to Mila. We're going to only watch this for 30 seconds or a minute. You'll see Mila starts to go visit everybody. As you can see, I'm going to show you a picture of her with this kid in a wheelchair in a little bit here. Yes, Fanny, we hear you. We had a whole group, and she can't figure out who she wants to visit, but we go visit these groups, and when they sit in a circle like this, you're going to see Mila head towards the back of the room. She visits with everybody, and she does a fantastic job. And this is one way we raise awareness, and everybody walks away feeling good. Okay, as soon as she heads over to the left here, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to show you a picture of her with the kid in the wheelchair who was really scared of dogs. Let's go to the picture. So, you know, one more cute picture, and then we'll do a couple videos. We took Mila to, or Laura, or Mila, I'll know when I see the picture, to the Council on Aging. Here's a great picture. Look at what I want you to look at is the smile on this guy's face when we visited. Was that a killer smile or what? We also do public events. A couple years ago, Crash and Iris, who are both double Merles, blind and deaf. They've been adopted by our neighbors, Steve and Vicky. They were in our local 4th of July parade. It's like a 10-second video. Let's take a look at that. In the parade. And we also visit like libraries. We had Seneca East Library a couple years ago invite us to Children's Night. So we took Laura, who was a pot cake from the Bahamas. She's a wheelchair dog. My friend Chris Stone from Rock Solid Media put together a nice video, and I don't know why my wife is laughing so hard.
Because Cheryl Kraft is saying, damn dust in my eyes.
So we took Laura, a wheelchair dog from the Bahamas, paralyzed, to kids' night at the library. And our friend Chris put together this nice video for us. I'm going to let you watch this one through, and then we'll come back. This one is great. I love this one. So, I love that video. Chris did a great job. So, well, we are having to say no to a lot of dogs right now because we don't have fosters available. What we're working on is more of this exposure and education and acceptance of these dogs. The awareness is a good word to put it. And Trisha at Perfect Imperfections, she just had Tegan in the puppy bowl. She was the wheelchair dog in the puppy bowl. Things like that are immensely valuable because the phone calls that I get from people that say, oh my God, my dog can't walk anymore, something happened. What I sense from them is just the sense of being overwhelmed. The more we can make people aware that these dogs are normal and people have dealt with these dogs, you know, you can get through this. The more people realize it's just different, the easier our job becomes, because instead of surrendering a paralyzed dog to a rescue or a shelter, with a little bit of help, they can keep that dog as a member of their family. And that's part of what the goal is with some of these educational programs that we're putting on our YouTube channel. Noelle's, if she hasn't already, she's going to put a link to our YouTube channel in the comments. We've started putting up a lot of the shorts on there. Facebook deletes our live sessions like this after 30 days. So we archive them on our YouTube channel. And if you go over and like and subscribe, probably within the next few weeks or so, you'll start to see more educational type stuff. Right now, we're still building the channel, but we're going to start to put up shorts on, for instance, how to express a bladder, how important hygiene can be for a paralyzed dog, and it's critical. So if you don't want to miss anything, click the button to get notified, and it'll tell you, and it'll be there.
So Susan Haslam asked, where's Laura now?
Laura has passed away, and when I talk about hygiene, Laura came to us from the Bahamas. She had pyometra on the way here, so she had emergency surgery for that. And roughly every month or every other month, she was very prone to antibiotic-resistant UTIs because she could not drain her bladder. Excuse me. So we would express her, but that wasn't enough. And at one point, we had her, I'm going to say 3 or 4 years, maybe 4 years. It wasn't too long after that video at the library. Her bladder spasmed, and instead of being loose and dribbling and allowing us to express her, her bladder, I don't remember the technical term for it, but her bladder seized up, her muscle spasmed, and we could not express her. And it got to the point we had her on medications and nothing would help. So sadly, we had to say goodbye to her because she wasn't comfortable. So she was followed by Mila, who is not on camera today, but you saw her in a couple of the videos, the pink wheel or the blue wheelchair in the video.
So Jason wanted to clarify that we were talking about Tegan
Yes.
earlier.
Yes.
And Patty Bacco Temple asks, is it difficult to put the dogs in a wheelchair?
Patty, it can be. Wait 1 sec. Let me back up for something. Did Jason have a question?
He just wanted to know, are we talking about Tegan?
Yes, we were talking about Tegan a little bit earlier. Tegan actually passed away sadly from aspiration pneumonia. Tegan had hydrocephalus, hypoplasia, a lot of problems, and at some point she aspirated some food and it caused pneumonia, and it was her second or third round of pneumonia and her body just couldn't fight it. So yeah, Tegan has passed as well, although she had an amazing time with Trish. I'm good friends with Trisha, and I know what Trisha does, and I see a lot of things that Tegan had the life, right? Patty, you were asking if it's difficult to get them in a wheelchair. Was that the question?
It was.
It can be. We have developed some tricks. What I have found, and I don't have a wheelchair here to show you, but the two different wheelchairs, there's three. There's front, rear, and quad cart, right? Quad cart is the worst in most cases because if you were looking down at the wheelchair, you have stirrups for the back legs and stirrups for the front legs, right, in the square. So most dogs you have to pick up and set them down and try and get their four legs in the four separate holes. Not always easy. With Mila, because she needs the wheelchair for balance and support more than holding her up, it's mostly balance, we were able to get a special harness front and rear for her, and we've put clips on those two harnesses so that her wheelchair is like a big letter U. We back her into the wheelchair and we just put these 8 clips on to hold her in place, and that allows the chair to help her with her balance. With a rear wheelchair or front, but mostly a rear wheelchair, a lot of people try and work too hard. They try and hold the chair up, the arm of the chair, while the wheels are back here, and they try and lift the dog down into the leg stirrups, right? That's a lot of work. What we have found works really well is a rear lifting harness. And so assuming the dogs have use of their front legs, right? The wheelchair arms are laying on the ground, so the wheelchair comes up like this, if you can see, and the wheels are back here, leg loops, right? All you do is you pull the chair up beside them or right behind them, pick up their butt while their front paws, they're holding their own weight, and you slide the chair under them. So instead of lifting a 60-pound dog to put them in the chair, you're lifting maybe 20 pounds of their butt while they stand with their front legs. You slide the chair under and put them under. And then you would lift up the front wheels and clip it into the harness. So yeah, depending on the chair and the dog, it can be difficult, but there are ways to make it easier.
And Susan Haslam says it gets easier with practice.
Yes, absolutely. Most of it does. And that's what I try and tell people, Susan. You know, we get a lot of people that call and say, my dog's paralyzed. I can't handle this. Can you take my dog? And we have found that 80% of the problem is the feeling of being overwhelmed because they've never been exposed to it. And so, that's what we try and do is walk them through it. It's a new normal. You have to learn a new way of doing things, but then it becomes normal. It's just different. That's all. It's not the end of the world. And you're exactly right. The longer you do it, the easier it becomes. So, and by the way, Susan, I don't know if you have any experience with not the drag bags from Handicap Pets, but they have the carts. I can't remember the product name. I don't think they make them anymore. But they had a drag bag attached to a wheeled cart. So their bud is actually sitting on a cart and they can wheel it. I'm curious if you have any experience with that. I have one or two downstairs and my dogs just hated them because their back end is all out of control when they're moving and taking turns. It was like drifting to the extreme.
It's like 4th grade gym class when we sat on those little wheeled scooters.
Yes, 4th grade gym class on wheeled scooters. That's right. And part of what we do, we have officially we used to have a program where we would send lifetime loaner wheelchairs to people and lifting harnesses and whatever they needed. And with the goal is they would return them to us when they no longer needed them. That program has gone away because it was used and abused, and it wasn't something we could continue. But we still have a handful of various carts that we have on reserve for rescues and for the right person that may need it and really can't afford it.
Susan said it scared them.
She tried it too. Okay, so that's exact. Susan replied her dogs tried the wheeled carts, and I wish I could remember the name of it. I'm sorry. But it's a drag bag on a platform with wheels. And we've tried it. It really scared our dogs because they did not have enough control. And Susan has tried that with her dog. And same result. So thank you, Susan. We've got about another 5 or 10 minutes, folks. I know it's Valentine's Day. But these guys are cooperating, and Baby's finally quiet. If you have any questions about the various dogs, please, or about how we handle things in the rescue.
Debbie Noon said it looked like Wyatt was dreaming.
Yes, Wyatt is dreaming, and I don't know if you can see him real well because I can't really see what you're seeing very well. But Wyatt, for the other folks, has hunchback dwarfism. And so he has very little control of his back end. He's incontinent. He can spinal walk if he gets the right start, but for the most part, he scoots. But there are times that spontaneously he will wag his tail or move his legs. And I think that's more his autonomous nervous system just firing signals. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But he's a great dog. I appreciate y'all spending time with us today. Thank you. One of these days, they will go off perfectly with zero technical hitches. We're working real hard. In the last month or two, we have upgraded the cameras, the internet settings, microphone. We're trying to do a better job for you. We'll get there. It's a lot to learn. We're used to talking about the dogs, but this is a lot of new stuff we're trying to learn. And Facebook is not for streaming.
Susan Haslam says she's fortunate that she lives an hour or so from Eddie's Wheels.
Oh, nice.
And she plans to foster for Trisha at Perfect Imperfection when she retires.
Outstanding. I love Trisha. Trisha is very close to my heart.
The custom wheelchairs and the repurposing that Eddie's has done has been very helpful.
Yes. Our first dog, Ranger, was a border collie. He came to us with an Eddie's wheelchair. Unfortunately, Eddie's wheelchairs are great. They don't work out real well for our dogs. What happened with Ranger was he would gain weight and lose weight and gain weight and lose weight. And he got to the point, this cart was not designed for him. So it was a donated cart that mostly fit him. But it got to the point where he wouldn't fit properly in it. And so the lack of adjustment on the Eddie's wheel cart was a problem for us. And also you couldn't break it down. We travel a lot with our dogs to go to these schools and things that you saw in the videos. And so we typically work with handicapped pets because their carts are lighter, they're more adjustable. Eddie's Wheels makes great carts. I love their carts. They're incredibly durable. But for our particular uses, we use handicapped pets mostly. If I live closer to Eddie's Wheels, I used to deal with them a lot. If I live closer to them, I'd definitely work more with them. My problem is I need custom fits for some of these dogs. Excuse me. But that's great. If you could foster for Trish, she does so much with so little. She does 10 times the dogs we do, or you know, she has a lot of dogs, and she does not shy away from the hard ones. And Trish has helped our rescue take dogs. We have Journey and Wyatt came from Trisha at Perfect Imperfections. So, you know, we share resources and we share advice and things like that. I cannot say enough good about Trisha, and she's a great one to support. If I was closer, I'd be volunteering my time there in addition to doing ours.
Lisa Spencer says she enjoys these very much.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm glad you do. As a matter of fact, Lisa, if I remember right, aren't you the person that fostered Wyatt before he went to Perfect Imperfections, and you sent me a short video of him doing water therapy? I believe I'm correct. I'm not positive. I deal with a lot of people, a lot of dogs, so I'm sorry if I don't always remember the details. I'm getting old. But Lisa, if that was you, I came across a 10, 20, 30-second video, excuse me, of when Wyatt was a puppy doing hydrotherapy. That's on our YouTube channel under the shorts. We have a playlist called Short and Sweet. It's basically where we put our short little cute ones. Wyatt is on there with his hydrotherapy. Fen is on there with her hydrotherapy. We've got Mila on there. We've got Journey on there. But yeah, Wyatt's a great guy.
Cheryl Kraft says, with Mila, it was the not knowing what was really wrong.
Yes.
And what her progress was going to be.
Right.
And it made it so hard to know how to care for her. The education
Absolutely.
and the resources you all provide are so important.
Right. Cheryl Kraft is Mila's mom. And in the beginning, when they first reached out to us, we weren't sure what was going on with Mila. And we weren't sure she was going to make it to 1 year old. Well, a lot of therapy and a very expensive MRI later, and we found out about the brain deformities, and she's got some sinus deformities, and we only did the MRI on her head, so we don't know if she's got other issues going on. But once we knew it was a birth defect, basically, we were better prepared to deal with her as she is, try and make it the best possible in terms of getting her stronger. Routine's very important. Our expectations in terms of behavior and obedience are much different than with a regular dog. But that first few months of not knowing, and it's very hard to find resources to learn about some of this stuff, which is one of the reasons we're going to start building so much educational content. We want to put these educational videos on YouTube with a link to a blog post that has downloadable resources. So an easy explanation would be, let's say a paralyzed dog, talking about hygiene or how to express a bladder. Resources, you know, various wheelchair manufacturers. We're going to try and put together, this one's going to be tough, kind of a master list of various special needs with links to websites or Facebook groups or YouTube channels or specialists that deal with these types of specific problems, so that if you have a dog with, say, mega esophagus, you can download this resource sheet. After you learn a little bit about mega esophagus, this resource sheet will give you a bunch of care tips as well as resources to go learn more from the actual experts, like Trisha's an expert in mega esophagus.
Kathy Lee Whetstone says hi.
Kathy, good to hear from you.
Lisa Spencer says yes, she is the one
That's
with Wyatt.
I thought so. Thank you for not being offended that I wasn't sure. So, yeah, we're going to start putting out as we have time. This is a real busy time of year for us right now. We're wrapping up the end of year reporting that I have to do to the state and the federal government for the rescue. That's going to take me a couple more weeks. And we're starting to get ready for this year. But while we try and work to rebuild our foster program a little bit, we're going to focus on education and awareness. So that's our plan. You still may see a dog or two come in if we can find the right foster or given the right circumstances. But while we wait for that to happen, we're going to work on the education because we can reach a lot more people that way. And I'm going to make this last call for questions because we're getting ready to wrap up here. It's 11 o'clock. We've been here an hour. And we do these every month. So our next live Coffee with the Crew will be March 14th at 10 a.m. Saturday, March 14th. Once again, this is archived on YouTube because Facebook deletes. And I'm going to go ahead and say thank you, everybody, for your time. I appreciate it. I love the questions. Please, when you come visit us and the dogs, and I put them all to sleep, come with questions because I don't always have things prepared. And it's a lot easier for me to address what you're curious about than it is for me to take a guess that nobody wants to see. Right? So thank you. All right, I'm going to say good day, and we will see you in a month.